This season of Crazy Sexy Food is sponsored by KJ's. KJ's is an independent, family-run business that has been making specialty sauces for professional chefs and home cooks like myself since 1985. KJ's first launched with its Goldfish brand curry sauce concentrates. More recently, they launched Taste KJ's of Suffolk. Inspired by travels to wonderful destinations around the world, these are 6 authentic, quick and easy cook-in sauces and 4 Asian-inspired squeezy sauces. My particular favourites are the Spanish tomato sauce with its added paprika, as well as the Thai po chili sauce to rev up my meals. Order my favourites as well as the whole collection from keejaysauces.co.uk. That's KEEJAYS sauces.co.uk. Hello and welcome to Crazy Sexy Food. I'm your host, Hannah Harley-Young. I'm interested not only in food, but the people behind the food and the stories behind the people. Each episode, I sit down and talk all things food with well-known personalities, industry insiders, and people who, well, just love their food. Today I'm joined by the beautiful Felicity Hayward, one of the UK's most successful curve models. She is as fearless as she is gorgeous and has championed plus-size modelling before it became fashionable. Her activism and determination has broken barriers in the modelling industry, and her trailblazing ways and striking looks have seen her front campaigns for the likes of MAC Cosmetics, L'Oreal, Missguided, and The Body Shop. Away from the camera, she has used her platform to create the body positive #selflovebringsbeauty movement, which promotes diversity, confidence, and acceptance within the fashion industry. This topic of loving yourself and your body for what it is and accepting there is no such thing as a perfect body is a conversation very close to my heart. So I'm incredibly excited to have Felicity on for a chat. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, that was so nice. Thanks, babes. Happy to be here.
You needed a little pick-me-up.
That was it, for sure.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I've woke up quite late today because last night I decided that I wanted to become a crystal dealer.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like this is what lockdown has done to me, that I've decided, do you know what? I want to become Mystic Meg and I want to sell crystals.
So what were you doing till late last night exactly?
Finding wholesalers all around the world. I sent a message to my agents this morning and I was like, hi guys, just to let you know, I feel like I'm going to start selling crystals instead. And they were like, Felicity, you need to go to sleep properly. Like, what's wrong with you?
So how far did you get?
Pretty far. You know, sorting out shipment costs. I think what it is that
Stop it.
I'm addicted to crystals. Like, I am so, like, especially this year, I just started to buy loads of crystals and I was like, don't really want to pay the prices that I'm paying for all these stores. I'm just going to go straight to the dealers. And then actually, am I basically just funding my crystal addiction by going, I'm going to set up a crystal shop?
Oh my God, this is hilarious.
I know.
But I also kind of love it.
Because the thing is, babe, thinking about it, right? If I did this, you know, started this as a business, maybe we could go into business together and we could travel to all the countries when we're allowed. You can do all the food things. And I could do all the crystal, and then we could just make a new empire.
And it's sort of like this holistic take on trying new foods and investigating new cultures. And we can go to places where maybe the crystal energy is sort of in our favour.
Yeah, I think we've nailed it. See?
I think we've done it. It's happening.
It's a podcast. Goodbye.
Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Aside from crystals, how have you been? It's obviously been a crazy, wild year. We were kind of talking a bit before we started recording that we haven't seen each other in a while, also because there have been no events. But how have you kind of been coping with the ups and downs of it?
I mean, I can't say it's been the best year. I think everyone is going through so much, and it's strange because all of my friends, like everyone is going through so many different changes, and anything that, you know, there's been a lot of people who have passed away, people who have lost their jobs, people have had to move home. It's been quite crazy, and like people like myself and yourself that travel a lot, that do a lot of things, it's halted. It's made you kind of not only humble yourself in a very different way, but also, I don't know, I found comfort in things that I didn't before. And I've very, very much slowed down and tried to. I mean, when you just get thrown from doing everything at 100 miles an hour to like now you're locked in. You can't leave. I was living on my own at the time, the first lockdown. My flatmate had to move back to America, and it was just like, what we're gonna do? I have a platform where I promote body positivity and confidence, and I see it as a little kind of bubble of positivity online. And I felt that I had to keep that momentum going because I have so many, young eyes on me that look up to me, that I have to maintain that. So I started to do all these kind of self-love, self-care videos through the start of lockdown, which was like, and actually forcing myself into doing those things was actually helping me personally, because I was like, right, I'm not used to being still, so I'm going to make all these different videos of like just like how to make, I mean, you'll love this actually, like how to make at home face masks with things that you got in the cupboard, so people don't realize,
I love that. That's so good. Yeah.
using bananas, using avocados, using sugar, and making like sugar scrubs, and actually it was quite fun because it's like, you guys have probably got all this in the cupboard anyway, let's take some time in this weird situation to look after ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's mad. And I guess I like what you said about you were sort of wanting to put content out there because there are a lot of young eyes on you. But actually, whilst you were doing it, you were kind of helping yourself, because I feel like a lot of people perhaps could have felt like, oh, I've just got to put a face on and keep, reaching these people and making sure they're okay whilst not necessarily looking after myself. So I'm glad that you
Yeah.
kind of got something out of that as well. And to make it a little bit more topical, what have you had for breakfast this morning? If you have eaten.
This is really embarrassing. I've had I've had right, guys, this is really embarrassing because it's not very good, because what time is it? It's 12:15. You guys can't see me, but I've got wet hair. And
She looks great.
guys, I've been
No,
up
she
I've been
looks
up all
great.
night looking for crystals, guys. So I've had an Alpro soya chocolate milk
Nice.
and a bag of proper chips, sour cream cheese and chive flavored chips.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm actually very much here for that.
Yeah.
I believe that a packet of crisps for breakfast is the breakfast of champions. And at the end of this chat, you'll know why crisps are so special for me, because wait till you get to your little quick fire round.
Great.
So we're very much like, you're kind of way ahead of me. So I'm very happy about this. I want to just take it back a bit to your childhood. You were born and raised in a little place called Bury St Edmunds, which is in Suffolk, which I do know where it is because I've been there before. I want to know what life was like growing up for you. What were you eating? Who was cooking in the household? Was food important to you? Kind of tell me like about the formative years.
I mean, so I grew up with my mum and dad broke up when I was 2. And I grew up with, I lived with my mum mainly. I didn't get to see my dad too much. Not his fault, by the way. I love my dad's pieces. I saw him every 2 weeks. And I grew up with my mum and my brother. My mum didn't have too much money, to be honest. And I do remember kind of eating wasn't exactly, we were kind of given whatever we had.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation yesterday with my cousin. So my cousin Clarice, my mum and her mum are sisters. Her mum did really well and has like a really amazing hair salon, and my mum was doing her best in like working in pubs and garages and stuff. And we've got this ongoing joke about a chicken sandwich. Okay, so when my mum used to make her sandwiches, we used to get, processed ham on like the, just the bread, like bog standard
Yeah.
sandwiches. But whenever we used to go to my auntie's, she used to make roast chicken sandwiches from a full roast chicken. And
Oh
I
my
thought
God.
it was the poshest thing to ever exist. So we'd go around there, it would be like warm bread, and she'd obviously cut up the chicken and like mix it with a little bit of mayonnaise and like salt, pepper, and seasoning. And it'd be a hot, I mean, I'm starving now, like a hot, crusty roast chicken sandwich. Oh my God. So we've got this ongoing joke that my auntie Tonya makes the best chicken sandwiches. But I don't really too often talk about like food growing up with my mum because she just didn't have much money. So in a kind of sense that it was very basic food that we grew up. And then when I used to go and see my dad, I used to get to see my dad every kind of 2 weeks. He would let me pick whatever I wanted in the supermarket because he was treating me as his child that he didn't get to see much. And I remember when I was younger, there was a Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles apple pizza. I don't know. I was obviously just like, I'm going to get whatever I can because my dad would, you know, let me have whatever I want for the supermarket. So I'd just go for the most outrageous foods. I don't think, if I'm quite honest with you, I don't think I was brought up on the most nutritious food.
Can we just go back to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pizza? Can you explain what that was? Because I'm actually really intrigued now.
It had apple on it. Because obviously, you
So
know,
was it more, maybe, was it like a dessert pizza?
do you know what? I can't remember because it was definitely, because you know that they love pizzas in the cartoon, right? But it had a weird flavoring on it, and because they're green, I think I'm pretty certain. Do you want me to Google it?
I mean, we're going to have to at some point.
I'm going to be so embarrassed if it's not apple, but it was definitely like this. It was a weird.
Well, it was
pizza.
probably something green. They'd obviously, if it wasn't apple, it would be something that they'd coloured green to kind of make. Yeah. That's so cool because I grew up with brothers who loved the turtles. So yeah.
I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and they were very much like very traditional, like British food, like steak and kidney pie, sort of like roast dinners, like very, very kind of very British kind of, yeah. Once my American friend said to me, she was just like, we walked past a pie and mash shop, and I was like, oh my God, let's go get pie and mash. And she was like, ew, why do you guys still eat war food? And I was just like, don't try me. I was like, American food is literally full of so much chemicals.
I was just
and you're
about
trying to diss pie and mash? Go home, hon. Don't try with me today.
Do not mess with Felicity and her pie and mash.
Do you know what I mean? I was like, you literally, there's so many things in America, in American food that are banned in this country. And you're trying to come at me for not wanting pie and mash.
Also, to be honest with you, I don't know about you, but whenever I go to America, as soon as I step off a plane, I literally blow up. There's something, I mean, I love America dearly, but as soon as I eat their food, breathe their air, it's like something happens to my body and I just turn into a different person.
Hilarious.
I know, I don't know what it is, but anyway. And as you were then kind of, you know, entering your teens, you know, becoming a young, fabulous adult, were you always interested in fashion? Like, was it something that you knew that you wanted to get into?
You know what? I think my biggest inspiration with fashion is my nan Sybil, because when I was growing up in this small town, you know, I had bigger thighs, I had a bigger bum than everyone else, and you know, especially back then, there wasn't clothing in the high street that when my friends were going into Topshop, that I couldn't find the jeans in my size, or if I did, they'd be like the ugly mum jeans. They weren't like the cool stuff that everyone else had. When my friends were shopping in Tammy Girl, I had to shop in Etam. You know, it wasn't that great. And my nan was the one that kind of kept my spirits high and was like, no, we're going to go charity shopping. We're going to go to car boot sales. We're going to find all of these different things. And she would kind of, she'd make things for me. Like we'd have craft afternoons where we'd make stuff together. And she herself is the best dressed woman I've ever seen in my life. And she has that, like, my grandparents are working class, like come from nothing, still in the same house that they were with all their kids. But every single time I go see my grandparents, my nan, all I remember is, and still to this day, she wears like bright knit cardigans and bright blazers. We're talking sort of like
Fabulous.
raspberry colored with like a big pearl brooch, or like an emerald green jacket. Like she used color and shapes to kind of like ooze this elegance, and like she used so many different fabrics and stuff that I just thought she was the most glamorous, beautiful person on this planet. But she didn't have much money, and I think that's who's the person that's inspired me to dress the way I do, because she's kind of like, you know, just do yourself. Like, let's find things that you love, and let's make these things happen.
That's such a lovely inspiration to have, and it's interesting that you touched on what you were saying about when you would go shopping with your friends, because you and I kind of grew up in the same era, in that sort of like late 90s, when if you ever looked in fashion magazines, it was that real kind of like heroin chic, skinny is sexy, you know, that was the stuff that I was growing up looking at. And you know, I was also quite a curvy girl growing up, and I used to have a lot of self-confidence issues, and I wondered how you coped with that, knowing that your thighs were a bit bigger than your friends, because what you've done with it in later life shows me that you probably coped with it a little bit better than I did, because I wasn't so confident about the way that I looked, and that's why I really wanted to bring you on today. But yeah, I just wondered how you felt when you were looking at kind of like what was deemed sexy and I guess acceptable in that time.
I guess I truly think that when I was younger, when all this was happening, I was spending so much time with my grandma, and like, you know, I was really into music, I was really into art. I was focusing myself, and I was a bit of a loner, but like I loved it. And I almost, I've said this quite a few times. I think when I was younger, I used clothing as an armor to kind of hide myself. So I was oozing this confidence to the outside world, and I'd be walking through town. I'd cut my hair, I'd dye it, you know, cut my hair into a mullet. I'd want to look like Rod Stewart. I'd have leopard leggings on and like, you know, a bright pink blazer, because that was kind of inspired by my music taste, by my nan's fashion. And I kind of gave a big, you know, fu to kind of society at that point, because I was like, I'm just gonna dress so eccentric and so over the top that I can use that as an armor. And I don't think it was really until I was sort of 18 and I moved to London that I started to find loads of other people that were, you know, looked like me, and they were kind of basically all the little freaks from the small towns had come together, and it was like, oh no, actually, like this is a cool thing, like, you know, let's just be ourselves. And eventually, like, layers of that armor started to peel off, and I started to feel more comfortable in my body. And then obviously I got scouted and I became a model, and it was never something that was in my mind to become a thing, because there was never anybody growing up that I felt represented me. It was, you know, if you were ever to see anyone that was curvy, plus size, whatever term you like to use, in any sort of, they didn't exist in fashion magazines. They only existed in the gossip magazines in Woolworths, saying like, you know, this so and so has put on so much weight. Look at her cellulite. She's on the beach. Like, she's disgusting. So we was kind of brought up to be like, don't show your body if it's bigger
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So when someone was like, you know, do a shoot, and I was like, do you know what? My nan will like this. Like, my nan will be proud of me. Like, it'll be like really fun and exciting. And the shoot was with Miles Aldridge. That was the first guy that kind of scouted me to do a shoot, as Anna Nicole Smith.
Can I just, sorry to interrupt, but you were scouted whilst impersonating Anna Nicole Smith, dancing to Diana Ross in an East London pub.
When you say impersonating Anna Nicole Smith, I feel like that wasn't intentional. I feel like I was just...
I don't care. Just run with it, because the story is brilliant. I mean, what a sentence. And were you actually scouted by Miles himself?
So, no, it was their team. So it was like, we've got this shoot with Miles. Basically, we've got this shoot with Miles, like, that they're planned to do, like, in honour of Anna Nicole Smith. They just hadn't found the right person, and they were just like, okay, it's you. And I was like, yeah, that'll be fun.
Were.
And the thing is, as well, is like, I moved to London to do a degree in photography, so like I like loved his work, and like, you know, I remember whilst I was at uni, like trying to get in with any photographers and it just failing. and thinking like, I'm not even sure I want to do this anymore. So I'd gone from being behind the camera trying to do it, and then just, out probably having a pina colada, having a bit of a dance, and then ended up in front of the camera in front of someone that I idolized. It was pretty mad, actually.
When you kind of did break into the industry, what was the reception like?
Well, so the shoot came out, and there was like a launch party for the magazine, and it was basically all my friends, like from the industry and the people out at the pub and stuff. So I didn't really see it. It was just a bit of a celebration. I was just more excited. I couldn't even afford the magazine. It was about 16 quid. It was a huge magazine.
Oh, wow.
So I just kind of gone there to try to get a couple of copies so I could take one home to my nan. And at that time I was working, several jobs, and I was working at a lesbian speed dating night at the Retro Bar in Charing Cross that I was a bartender at. And they were like, oh, you can't have your phone behind the bar because you distract you or whatever. But I didn't care. So I had my phone behind the bar, and I checked it, and I had an email from a modelling agency. And it was like, hi, I just wondered if anyone was representing you. And I literally thought, like, who is punking me? This is a joke. And then I read the name, and it was Siobhan Doherty. And I was like, isn't she a sugar babe? Like, I'm a bit confused here. And I was like, hang on, she is. She's one of the original sugar babes, and she's working at Storm. And she's just emailed me asking me if I want to, get signed by Storm. And I'm like, and at the same time, everyone's on dates in this bar, and I don't know what songs we were playing, but it was like a bit of a party. And I was like, is this the Truman Show? What's happening? And I went into the agency.
Siobhan became a model agent?
She did. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So
wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, amazing. Obviously she's back now.
Love it.
And they're all doing music again, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, she obviously just did a little stint there. But yeah, so I went in, got signed, and I was like, I don't even think they had a curve board at the time. I think there was another couple of models there who were sort of size 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I didn't have a long time there, to be honest. It didn't really work out for me. And I left, and I joined Milk Model Management, who I've been with for the last sort of 7-8 years now, who are actually incredible, and really kind of love plus size and really represent people for their individuality,
As I mentioned in the intro, you are one of the most well-known British curve models in the UK. I actually have an issue with the word curve, and right. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Do you feel like the word curve model or plus size model is necessary? Why can't it just be you're a model?
I mean, I 100% agree with you that wouldn't it just be great if it was a model? But the problem that we have is that when I first started, the term plus size was used because people didn't understand. At the beginning, it was almost like, oh, we've got plus size models, girls that are a bit bigger, but like they can kind of do the same thing. And the term plus size itself was then used by so many like bloggers and YouTubers and influencers and people online who were, at the forefront of the body positive movement. They were using the term, and they made it into such a positive term. So it became like this kind of online community where they were making the term plus size into a positive affirmation. So, you're plus size and you're proud. So it's a difficult one for me because I feel the love from the terminology, but at the same time, I do not agree that, if you have the terminology plus size, why don't you have the term minus size? We don't, because again, in society, we're just, pushing all the negative and all of our hatred onto people that are bigger, which, I mean, that's a whole nother story in itself. But I agree with you. I still use the term curve. I still use the term plus size. It's difficult because if I turn around to someone and say, hey, I'm a model, they literally look you up and down and are like,
yeah, we're still not out of the woods yet.
We're still not there. So, I personally don't have an issue with people if they call me plus size, if they call me curve. It's not a problem to me, but I do agree on the fact that, like, can we just get to a place where we don't need these terms? So yeah, it's difficult because it's like I said, it's come from a place of love, whereas it might have come from a place of not so much love within the industry, but people have made it into, something that's positive. So we could get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to get rid of it as of today, I've decided. So, as as you've obviously like gone from strength to strength in your career, how has your relationship with food been? Because, the fashion industry is notorious for putting a lot of pressures on women. I've spoken to a couple other sort of ex-models on previous seasons, and the stories I've heard when they've gone to Paris and someone's taken them into a toilet and like poked at all the parts of their body that need to be changed, and it's just like, I
Oh
literally don't
my
even know
God.
how someone could even allow those words to come out of their mouth. But, how has the relationship been sort of in later life?
Look, I don't, the funniest thing is I don't think I've ever really spoken to anyone about food. Like, and it's quite nice to be openly speaking about it, to be honest, because like I said, like when I was younger, like my mom did her best, but I don't think, like looking back on it, when I was really young, I don't think we ate too well. We were never really forced to eat fruit and vegetables, really. And I think when I left home at 18, it was kind of like I was in this whole new world of like, oh my God, I can cook and have whatever I wanted. And I saw food as quite a fun thing of like I can eat and have whatever I want. And I got into a relationship with someone when I was 18, and he was like a big foodie. So he used to cook like huge portions of food. And as a partner, you would end up kind of eating the same amount as him. And my weight did even get, my weight did get bigger, but I loved food. I loved it. It was so exciting to me because I was like, I've got all of these new things I can try. I'm an absolute queen of the yellow sticker, by the way. I mean, I love a yellow sticker.
What's a yellow sticker?
Babes, don't tell me that you don't know what a yellow sticker is. You know when you go in the supermarket and they've got all the reduced
Oh,
ones. Yeah,
yes,
the
me
yellow.
too. I didn't know it's called a yellow sticker.
I mean, I think it's called a yellow sticker. That's what I always called it. Like, oh, let's go have a look at the yellow stickers today,
Oh,
babes.
I love something reduced.
We get the.
I mean,
You go to the yellow
listen.
sticker and you go, right, I know I've just come out with, like an onion, some yogurt, and a bag of potatoes, but like, and a cucumber, but I'm gonna make this work. Like we're gonna make a meal of this. I've just bought a tabletop freezer because I don't have enough freezer space. So
That's cool.
just bought a new freezer, babes. A little one to go on the top just to get another extra few bits because I'm
Love
making
that.
loads of food at the moment and I'm wanting to, to store it, but I can't because I've got a tiny little freezer. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's probably because of the fact that my freezer is full of bougie ice cubes. I take my gin drinking very seriously. You can see behind. I have a bit of a bar behind me, but
Yeah, I've seen your bar. I want your bar, by the way.
But I'm not talking about regular ice cubes. I've got ice cubes in the shapes of stars. I've also got like the big fat chunky squares.
Love them.
That you get when you go in a posh cocktail bar.
Yeah.
You just need one, just one in the
Yeah.
car.
And it just sits there all night perfectly, just like, and it doesn't even really melt, to be honest. It just sort of stays there.
Have you paused again?
No, I'm here.
Oh, you were just.
I'm just.
You were.
Oh,
really
I'm just like. I was really. I'm done.
Oh my God. Be gentle with your ice cubes, babes. I can't cope with you.
She thought I'd frozen. Oh my God. But just bring it back to your relationship with food. So do you, like, listen, we're all humans. We all have our moments. But, have you had moments of sort of self-doubt or struggles or, you sort of, I know that you mentioned that when you were with that ex-boyfriend, you did find that you were eating a little bit more because you were eating the same portion sizes that he was. And I've actually been in that position as well. How do you kind of navigate that?
I guess it's kind of like, and especially with that partner, when I was eating a lot more with him as well, I'd just gone on to the contraceptive pill. So my weight anyway changed. And he was the partner when I found out that, that I basically got stretch marks when I was with him all across my stomach, and that really did affect me when I was that age, because I was very confused by everything. But it was a concoction of, you know, overeating, because I was eating the same as him, going on the contraceptive pill, so my body, I really reacted badly to that one. Um, and I remember I was in the bathroom, I was getting ready to have a shower, and I took my jeans off, and I saw loads of like marks on my stomach, like red marks. And you know when you've overeaten, or you're basically just like you're wearing jeans. I mean,
Yeah.
and you get the creases. And I took my jeans off, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's these like red marks on it. So I had a shower. I was like, it'll come off. And I'm getting out of shower, and it didn't. And I was like, what is this? And then over a course of the week, it was like tree branches just grew up my stomach that were red. And because um, I'd never seen any women with stretch marks in the media. It was definitely not normalized. And because my mum didn't get stretch marks when she was pregnant, which is actually, she was, you know, that's very uncommon actually. You know, the majority of women get stretch marks
Very
when they're
uncommon.
pregnant. I
Yeah.
thought there was something wrong with
Yeah.
me. But again, I do think that I didn't ever diet or anything like that. I didn't change the way I was. I almost just kept adding layers of this armor on top of me with clothing that was just like, I don't care, whatever, don't care, just like constantly, I'm confident, doesn't matter that my body's changing.
Mm.
I've got a boyfriend, I don't care, like I was young. And maybe I was eating the wrong things at that time, but I wasn't really ever educated on food enough to know what was really good for me and wasn't. And it wasn't until I kind of, you know, grew up and started to live around other people, and you know, we had an allotment and started to grow our veg, and, you know, started to eat a lot better. And I don't think I ever really ate badly. I just probably ate the wrong things for my body, which is something that you don't really realize until, you know, unless you've been surrounded by, like, you know, foodies your whole life, you don't really realize until you're a lot older. And I now know that like dairy is not my friend, you know. um it's caused me so many different skin issues in the last sort of 5 years, that if I'd have known that when I was younger, I would have maybe, you know, stopped being a cheese monster. But I, you know.
But that's just so difficult, isn't it? Um, I'm just gonna have to say it.
Yeah,
Like, you know, just trying to cut cheese out, it's like trying to stop yourself from breathing.
yeah.
Talk to me about the movement that I mentioned, the hashtag self love brings beauty, and why you wanted to create it.
Well, when I started my career, a lot of the time, you know, I dealt with my body being changed when I was younger until now. I got thrown in the industry, I believed I was making such a positive change. Um, and every time I had an interview with someone, they always brought up my diet and my gym routine. It was very confusing to me at the time, because I was like, I've just done a campaign for MAC Cosmetics, and you're asking me what I had for dinner. I mean, I know you asked me what I had for breakfast this morning, but
Yeah, no, but
this is a food
yeah.
podcast. We're talking about food. This is the whole point. If this was a makeup podcast and you were talking to me about that, then there's a different issue.
Yeah.
But you
Totally.
know, it's like it was so frustrating, because I felt I was so proud of these moments that I'd achieved. And then I was being shut down by so many journalists always about these things. And I just felt that, you know, if these journalists had self-love within themselves, then maybe they could understand that everyone is beautiful in their own right. So I was kind of like, yeah, self-love, you know, brings beauty, self-love. And it just kind of rolled off my tongue. And I thought, do you know what, that's quite good actually. And let's try and do something with that. And my best friend was an illustrator, so she was like, let's just draw something. So we kind of drew my hands. I was like, let's do a love heart, and my hands did this. You guys can't see me, but you can, babes. We made a logo, and I made a hashtag, and I was like, let's just have these conversations of like, what does self-love mean to you? Like, how can you, what are the things that make you happy? And if we can share our stories with each other, then maybe that these stories can be shared so much that they can get, you know, they can get to these journalists where they're like, actually, you know what, she should be able to have a MAC Cosmetics campaign, and that's fine. And we shouldn't have to talk about everybody's health, because you don't go in to talk about, you know, if there's a model that's a lot smaller, on the smaller side, and she's just fronted a campaign, do you think you would go into a press conference and say, oh, have you not been eating? Is that why you've got this job? Like, you wouldn't do that to a smaller model. So why do you feel that you have the, you know, feel the need that you, and that you can do that to me? Like, it's not okay. So I created it because I wanted to be like, here's a space where I'm promoting this, and you should listen, because your outdated kind of views on society sorry, your outdated views on society and standards of beauty are in the past, babes, and you need to get over that.
Obviously, I know I mentioned that we sort of grew up in the same era, and I massively struggled with the way that I looked for the most of my teen years. And I kind of wish, well, I need to be careful how I say this, but it's not that I wish I was growing up now, because actually I could not have grown up with the pressures of social media at all. But what I wish was that these kinds of conversation and the narrative that has changed so dramatically from when I was growing up was happening then.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there are certain people out there in the limelight who I'm not going to name their names, but there's a very famous family who have promoted a certain body shape that when I was growing up was deemed unattractive and not something that you would want. But actually, that was kind of the body shape I had. I mean, it wasn't that enhanced, but you know what I'm trying to say. And then I look nowadays and I'm like, my God, there's all these young girls trying to look this way. And I'm still amazed by it on a daily basis, that that's something that people are aspiring to, when I was so desperately trying to get away from it only 15 years ago, 16 years ago. And it's just so interesting that 15 years is a long time, but it's also not a long time.
It's funny.
And so, yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I've tried to butt in twice now.
You just wait your turn, Felicity, please. God. All right, you can put your hand up now.
Actually, I'm putting my hand up, guys.
Yes, Felicity.
No, it's just because I wanted to say this before I forgot, but don't you remember in school when, you know, especially when you're doing PE, actually not actually just us, but generally like our parents or, you know, females in our lives, the question would be, does my bum look big in this? And the answer would be like, no, it looks fine, don't worry, your bum isn't, you know. And you fast forward to now, and it's like, because of a certain family and because of certain body trends, it's like, does my bum look big in this? It's like, it couldn't be big enough.
Yeah.
Big booty crew is now in fashion.
No, totally. And it's like, if someone says to you, your bum does look small, you're like, oh, well, no, that's not the answer I wanted.
But how the narratives have just changed over decades. And I've spoke so much about this, because it's like, you know, fashion comes and goes. Fashion, there is trends in fashion. That's very easy to change and to throw a piece of clothing on and off. But body trends is something that I'm so worried about in this
terrifying
in this decade and in this time, that, you know, the girls are getting all of these things done to their body. When the next body trend comes, like, they're causing harm on themselves. It's not just a blue eyeliner of the 80s and a certain hairstyle where you can grow your hair back, get a wig, dye it, like shave it off. We're talking about serious chemicals and stuff that girls are putting in their body. And when the new change happens, because the internet is such a powerful place, what are they going to do?
No, I know.
You've got girls that are going to get like injections in motels in America by doctors that are not doctors, and they're getting concrete injected into their bodies, and they're dying of infections because these women are promoting an ideal and pretending that it's their real bodies.
I'm so surprised that it hasn't someone hasn't come in and like properly intervened. Like, it scares me in a way, like, you know, if I ever had a daughter, what I'd feel comfortable with her like watching or seeing out there. Like, it really scares me.
It's about honesty. That's all it is about. And if you're in a position where your family is making billions of pounds off advertising, and you are advertising a lot of beauty products and God knows what else. I mean, there was a situation last year or maybe the year before, which I commented on, which is Kim Kardashian was promoting lollipops.
Oh yeah.
You know about that?
Were these the diet lollipops?
Yes. Like they stopped your appetite. I'm not being funny, but like
I mean,
when you fancy something sweet, babes, like you know, we're of the same age. You know, when we want something sweet, I'm pretty sure you're going to go for a big old slice of cake or like ice cream or like fruit. I don't think me and you are going to go for a like plastic lollipop because lollipops were
no.
targeted at children and young
Yeah.
teenagers.
It's a very, very dangerous territory. You know, it's not just lollipops, it's the teas that in 30 days you can drop, 2 stone or something. I mean, it's so, and if you really look into it medically, you're really going to drop 2 stone in 30 days. If you're dropping 2 stone in 30 days, you really actually need to look into that, because that's so incredibly dangerous for your body to do that. And then it's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. How do you think we are going to change this narrative of everybody wanting this perfect body? You mentioned actually something about being honest. Do you think that's one of the ways to just be like honest? Like if you are going to change something about yourself or enhance yourself, be open about it. Like how do we change the narrative for future generations or our children, in the sense that have a healthy relationship with food, exercise. There is no such thing as this perfect ideal structure that we're all trying to maintain or have.
I think the thing that I would suggest to do is especially have children or not even if you just have children but yourself, is follow people online that are being honest. So people that are showing pictures of their true self, whether it's showing their stretch marks, showing the cellulite, like if you see someone on a magazine cover that is showing true diversity in whichever shape or form that is, support them. And I don't think people realize the power of their likes and their comments and their engagements. Like, for example, even sharing pictures of certain people who have these fake bodies, who are pretending they're real, even sharing them, you're giving them money. Because the more shares, the more engagement. And I don't want to, be on here saying that I have an issue with people that have surgery or change their bodies, because I don't. My mum's had a boob job. She's been flat chested her whole life and she wanted a boob job, and she's so much more confident and happy now. And I'm so happy for her. But she didn't go online and go, oh, it's fashionable to have big boobs, so I'm going to have big boobs, get the surgery done, and pretend I haven't. Because if you go from being flat chested to having big boobs, how are you going to lie about it? But this is what people are doing. It's stop engaging, liking, sharing in people that are being dishonest with you, and carry on supporting people who are, fighting for change and are being real. Because the more of us that are online doing this, the more popular it becomes, the more that, brands and, media outlets will listen to what's popular. If you make real popular, it will become popular in society. If we keep on feeding this beast of like fakery, it's going to continue to run its course, and it has a negative effect on all of us.
Mic drop.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I listen. I'm sitting here and I'm nodding and I'm like, I have nothing else to add, because you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Just bringing it slightly back to the food. Obviously, this year we've all had to brush up or somewhat become better at cooking.
Yeah.
What have been some of your specialities at home?
So I've been taking a lot more time, because usually I am a girl that's on the go. So it's dinners out and takeaways, and I hardly ever have time to cook. So I've now rebranded myself as Thigh Jeller. I thought that was yeah.
I love it.
You heard it here first, babes.
I love it.
I have been getting like fresh deliveries from a fish company called Woods Fish. So basically, what's been so funny as well about this whole lockdown like kind of year is a lot of the suppliers who were like maybe they were all supplying to all the restaurants in London. Now they've been closed. They've been trying to do sort of more, delivering to families. So I've actually discovered so many more sort of independent, amazing family-run businesses. So I've been getting all this fish delivered. Prawn, mango, avocado, salsa tacos has been a bit of a winner in my household. Also, grazing platters, like taking time, making these big old grazing boards. Oh, I went through a stage of making cheesecakes as well, because they're literally the easiest things to make. Mango cheesecakes, honey mangoes. Honey mangoes are the best.
Ooh.
Oh, and then jelly. I've become a bit of a 70s jelly auntie. I've bought like the old, like the old glass molds.
Oh, brilliant.
Babes, it takes time though, because obviously you put one section in, and then it's like you've got to let that set, then another colour, let that set, and I put strawberries and raspberries in. But the old glass ones look amazing, but like there's been some accidents, because basically what people don't realise, you've got to like heat up the glass. So almost like if you put it on a plate.
Don't tell me you melted it.
No, I didn't melt the glass.
Oh, okay. No. Did you melt the jelly?
No. But there's been some accidents.
Okay.
But, I really wanted to make the proper, like, 70s, like, jelly with, like, the different...
I love it. I love it. A bit like Abigail's Party. Do you know what, actually? I feel like jelly is going to make a comeback.
I love jelly.
You could make like a gin infused jelly or something. There you go.
Babes, what a good idea.
Make like a gin and elderflower sort of jelly or something.
Can I show you what else I've been making? I'm just going to get it. No one else can see.
What is that?
That is apple infused gin.
Oh my God. So, wait. So you've just bought gin and you've been infusing it with apples?
Yep. Mango.
That looks
infused gin. And last but not least, fig infused gin.
Oh my, Felicity!
Big mood. Big gin.
This is epic. This is epic.
Yeah.
She's literally got all these beautiful bottles of infused gin. Oh, why can't lockdown end? Because I want to come over for a bloody drink.
No, don't worry, babes, because these need a couple of months.
Okay, fine.
I mean, you can see by this bottle now, eyes can't see it, but the apple is really, the colour's really come off it. It's quite beautiful.
It looks fabulous. I really want to try the apple one. That's right up my street.
Yeah, apple gin.
Delicious. When you are allowed back out into the open world, where are some of your favourite restaurants to go?
Ooh, the Rhythm Kitchen. They've got there's one in Walthamstow, but then there is one in Westfield in Stratford. They do the best jerk salmon.
Nice.
Do you know what? Oh, there is Lobos Tapas in Soho, Zellman's. I do love Rocker as well.
Oh, yeah, that's special.
That's a special occasion though, Rocker. To get a little bit carried away.
I always end my chats with a few quick fire questions. Are you ready?
Yes, babes.
So, my favourite snack in the entire world is a packet of crisps. What is your favourite flavour and why?
Right. But I mean, there's different variations, okay? So when
you can give me a couple. You can give me a couple.
Cheese and onion.
Really?
I am not a salt and vinegar fan because they sting your mouth, and I think they're basic.
Don't hurt me like that. You're hurting me in the heart. Stop.
No, babe.
No.
It's fine. It's fine. You are either a salt and vinegar or a cheese and onion gal. It's fine. I like all variations of like kind of like the cheese and onion. I also like, like sour cream and chive, which is, I think, a sister of the cheese and onion.
Yeah, I agree.
One of my favourite crisps are, can I say the brand?
Of course.
They are the mini cheddars crinkles.
Okay, actually, I've got to be honest, I haven't tried those yet.
The crinkles are the best.
So are they an actual mini cheddar, but they're crinkled?
They're mini cheddars, but they are crinkled, and they taste delicious. Do you remember when they used to have like the cheese and ham and the barbecue mini cheddars?
Yes.
I think it was like maybe a proper like a bit of a old school thing. Um, they might be up there with some of my favorite crisps,
I'll
although
tell you what I really love. Do you like cheese balls?
I don't like the powderiness of
Right,
them.
oh, so you're not a Wotsits girl.
No, I like Wotsits, but cheese balls that have that powder inside them. It's not. It's the same sort of powder that they have in those Tuck biscuits. Do you know what I'm talking about? No, 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 no. I'm for the real cheese, hun. I ain't for this
Look,
powdered
listen,
stuff.
can I just say something? Um, Actually, Marks and Spencer's do a cheese ball that doesn't have the powder in it, but it's like it tastes a bit like a bloody poor man's what's it, but they are the real deal. Seriously. And a great cheese flavour. And they really, really go well with like a chipstick. I know you're not salt and vinegar, but they kind of like balance.
Oh, ribbon saucy knickknacks.
Oh God, I haven't had a knick-knack in years. I'll be honest with you. I actually would probably rather go for a sour cream and chive than a cheese and onion.
That's okay because they're
Yeah.
similar, I
Mm.
believe. Um, I also had some very good prawn crackers the other day, from the Chinese supermarket, and it was tom yum flavored prawn crackers. And I've since gone back, and they have sold out. So it was like giving me, a little sprinkle of like the best, prawn crackers I've ever tasted. Gone back, sorry, was sold out. And I was like, I know why you're sold out because they're bloody brilliant.
I love a prawn cracker. What is the craziest food you've ever eaten?
I mean, I don't want to say something basic like frog legs. But like, I'm trying to think of something that was even more mental. I was going to make a joke about how much I hate eggs.
Do you actually hate eggs?
I hate eggs. I was going to make a joke about, oh, I tried an egg once. That was the worst thing I'd ever done.
Wow, so you don't
Um,
eat, you haven't eaten them at all?
I hate them. I think they're disgusting.
Wow. That's a really big statement.
Really, really not a fan of eggs.
What has been your most memorable meal?
I honestly say anytime I have a dinner with my grandparents at their house, I actually bought the same plate set when I moved into my new house. You know the blue and white. What is it called? The blue and white plates. You know exactly which ones that grandmas have.
Yes, I know. With
Um,
like a design around the edge.
yeah, they're blue and
Also,
white, and there's
yeah,
almost it's like a mosaic, but
yeah,
it's like a scene like of people and like houses and stuff in
yeah,
it.
I know
I can't
exactly.
remember what the brand is. I would say any of my most memorable meals. I mean, the thing is with me and you, we've been to so many fancy dinners and events and stuff throughout my lives. The ones that mean the most to me are the ones that are like the most simple. So my nan and granddad's table that they have in their tiny kitchen back in Suffolk with the same, they have the napkins with the napkin rings. They have the same plates, the same cut glasses. They're like emerald green placemats with these blue plates. I've actually gone and bought basically the same table and the same plates for my new place. So I think that kind of says it all that, my most memorable meal is always going to be anything that my nan makes, which is usually, steak and kidney pudding with dumplings.
I
That's
love
usually
that.
her,
What
her
is your
favourite.
favorite food, or it could be your favorite meal or your favorite cuisine?
If I could eat anything right now, do you know what the thing is? I'm going to sound like people are going to listen to this podcast. It's like, she's so British. I love a roast dinner. I really do. And I think maybe Christmas dinner has to be the winner because it's like, it's so excessive. There's so many things. It's
There's
like,
so
it's
many
like a roast dinner.
possibilities.
It's like a roast dinner
Yeah,
buffet, a Christmas
I
dinner.
agree.
I'm going to say Christmas dinner. But on the side of that, I really like Japanese food. So completely different. But I have to say, I think a roast dinner is gonna have to
Yeah,
win.
I get that. I totally get that. There's also something so comforting about that meal as well. Like
Mm,
eating a roast dinner feels like home.
yeah, for sure.
Final question: live to eat or eat to live?
Oh! Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. I'm closing my eyes.
She's meditating on it. Live to eat or eat to live?
Live to eat.
Good girl. Absolutely. Of course. This is what this is all about. I have no judgment if anybody's going to say eat to live. I've had quite a few answers of that, and they have their reasons. But for me, I am in total agreement with you.
Yeah, life's too short.
Life is too bloody short. Felicity, you are an absolute joy. You've just made my day. I think that you are just not only a wonderful person, but I so wish that there were more people like you whilst I was growing up. And I think what you're doing and the message that you're giving out there is just so invaluable for women, for men, for the younger generation, for the older generation. So thank you so much. You can follow Felicity on social media at Felicity Hayward. Until next time. Bye.
Oh, bye.
Thank you for listening this week. If you love what you hear, please subscribe and leave a lovely review. And if you can't get enough of me, follow me on Instagram at Crazy Sexy Food, and do visit the Crazy Sexy Food YouTube channel where there are plenty of shows for you to watch. Until next time, bye.